As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It's Monday, January 26th. We are back after championship weekend.
Yes, sir.
Seattle, New England. We have our Super Bowl game. And we're here to talk about not only what we learned from the playoffs, but a lot of other things. Mike Kafka joining the Lions staff. Daniel Jeremiah's first-round pick for the Lions. Free agents the Lions could acquire. There's a lot of things we'll get to today, Boone. But how you feeling, dude? How you feeling?
I feel absolutely.
You were battling today, all right? You were battling on Twitter. I see people in general battling on Twitter today.
Yeah.
Because it happens every Monday.
It does. After the NFL and things start to happen, things start to go around a little bit. And I actually I've never really been like, hey, I'm gonna go back and forth on Twitter with people and I'm gonna get in this battle. I've always been like the one that just sits back and enjoys and watches and reads. The last probably month or so, the last couple of weeks, I've gotten into the mud a little bit, and I'll tell you what, Jeff, I think I was made for it. I love it. Like I absolutely love Twitter beef, and I love going back and forth with people, and I love whether it's calling people out or sticking up for people. You know what I mean? Jim Costa put out a tweet about the Seahawks, which we're going to get into, and a lot of people in this Lions world, fans and people who cover the team, start to attack Jim Costa, and I'm like, Jim's right. You know what I mean? And so I'm out here. I'm like, I'm not going to go at you, but I'm going to start sticking up for Jim Costa. And a lot of people don't like to hear, I learned today, and there's probably people like this in our chat, and we're going to learn this throughout the show today and throughout this offseason. There are a lot of people in Lions fan base, Jeff, where you throw an opinion out, and if someone disagrees with your opinion, they think you're not allowed to cheer for the team, or they think you're the worst person in the world because they have a different opinion than you. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, man, like, it's okay for other people to have opposite opinions. And it's okay. Like, not everyone wants to be a slappy and constantly be like, oh, Lions are the best. Everything they do is great. Like, you don't have to have that in a fan base. Don't have to. And for people that like, and people go see my Twitter. I went back and forth with people who are in our industry, like people who claim to be smart at what they do. And a lot of people today that I went back and forth with, and it was just like, dude, like you're saying people aren't allowed to cheer for the Lions. You're saying people aren't allowed to be fans of the Lions. Saying people are idiots or this or that because they have an opposite opinion of you. Say, hey, welcome to the real world. Like, this is how, again, I'm not going to get political or anything here, but this is like why the world is the way it is in politics right now. It's because people just can't comprehend that there are other sides and people think differently and other people disagree with people. And it's like, when that happens, I think that's okay. But like the constant, in my opinion, like, dude, the constant, like, oh my gosh, like Jim Costa thinks the Seahawks, oh my gosh, like the Brad and the Seahawks, they really compared the Lions and the Seahawks. Like, yeah, it's a very, very, very close comparison on what the Seahawks did, because they did it the year after the Lions, and they're in a Super Bowl, and we're out of the playoffs. And it's like, it's a very, like, I don't think it's not a bad thing. And just because you agree with Jim Costa or you're Jim Costa and say it, doesn't mean next year you're not allowed to cheer on the Lions and be a Lions fan. You know, like, I don't know. Sorry, I went on a rant to start the show, but that's just like, that was what I've been dealing with today on Twitter. And it's just like, I think at some point it's like, man, like, people are allowed to have opinions, whether you like them or not, or you disagree. I have disagreements all the time with people in the chat. And sometimes I get worked up and they get worked up and we go at it. And then after it's like, okay, but it's another like, hey, dude, you can't be a fan if you don't like what I like, or you hate what I hate.
It's gatekeeping.
It's insane.
It's gatekeeping, and honestly, it's one of the most frustrating things in just fan bases in general. It's not, I don't think it's just the Lions. I think every fan base goes through this. I would hope. I don't know. I would not hope, but I would expect that a lot of fan bases go through this. It does. I think you nailed it the way you explained it. It's like there's this blue wall, and there's a lot of people that are sworn to protect that blue wall. And if you have any pushback, they don't let you, or they don't want you to. And if you do, they think you're not a fan, which I would argue if you do have criticism, if you do criticize the Lions, I think you're more of a fan because you're trying to become a better football team. You want your team to be good, better. Maybe they're already good, but better. Well, technically they missed the playoffs. I don't even know if good's the right word, but you want them to be better. So having honest conversations is what we need to do. It's important. And I just don't like that people scoff at the idea or the conversation, the idea of a conversation of comparing different franchises. I absolutely hate it. I know people get mad when we bring up Howie Roseman. Okay, fine. I'll use John Schneider. Nope, you can't use that either. Okay, I'll use Les Snead. Well, I don't like that one either. Okay, so what team can we compare to? What team can we look at and use as a measuring stick for the Lions to have success? Because there's Lions fans out there. I'm not saying our chat's like that. I think our chat's actually super intelligent and actually reasonable. That's why I enjoy talking sports with them. But the people I see out there, and I don't know if it's real life or not, they scoff at that idea. They're like, no, the Lions is the standard. Okay, we're the standard. No, you're not. It's okay to look at what other organizations are doing and being like, hey, man, we should probably mimic some of what they're doing. They're having success in this way. We need to get back to having success in that way to accomplish our dreams and goals, which is winning a Super Bowl. Like, yeah. I don't know what those people want. You can't use the Eagles. You can't use the Seahawks. I mean, what team can we use to compare? You know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you what, the Lions have not won a Super Bowl yet. So you should be trying to aspire to be these teams that make the Super Bowl and have that success. And people just don't want to have that conversation. They just don't want the Lions to have accountability.
I think the crazy thing too with that though, Jeff, like to that point, it's like when you use an example of a different team or this, the people there's these people out here who are like the Lions are perfect, and listen, like us comparing, and this is what the crazy thing about it to me is, like when we put when I put a tweet out there being like, look at what the Seahawks did with their defense, look what this, like, and I went out and got numbers and cap hits and all this, and it's like, dude, when you compare them, it's not looking at the Lions in a negative, in my opinion. I don't look at it in that way. I look at it as, hey man, like this is how you do it. That doesn't mean it literally, it is like the craziest part about all of this is that, in my opinion, it's not going at the Lions in a negative sense. It's literally being like, hey, this team just did it this way. This would be a good, structure for the Lions to go about it, or this is how you do it. And then people get mad and they're like, wait a second. What are you talking about? The Lions do it this way. Brad is just fine. And it's like, dude, I never even said Brad was bad. What are you talking about? Now you're all, Brad's not. And then I get a tweet back that's like, Brad's not on the hot seat. I never even said Brad's on the hot seat. And then he moves to like, oh, so you hate Brad? I never even said, I didn't even bring Brad up. I just, like, the thing is that you're bringing up, like, the Lions haven't won yet. So obviously what they're doing is not working, or it hasn't worked. Yes. So like, and it's not like they just fell short and they lost in the NFC Championship game like 2 years ago. If you listen to my tone then to now, it's night and day difference. Why? Because they went to the NFC Championship game and what they were doing was working.
Right.
2 years later is a different story.
Right.
The same thing isn't working than it was 2 years ago. Obviously not, because you're not back in the Super Bowl. And the craziest part about all of it, Jeff, this team's not even in the playoffs. Like, people are acting like the Lions have a perfect formula to get this thing done, and when you question it, they're like, oh my gosh, they didn't even get into playoffs with the current formula that they have. They missed the playoffs. They're not playing into the second half of January.
And there's people that still swear by it. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, no one's trying to be disrespectful towards Brad, and no one's trying to say Brad's bad. You know how many times today in the comments I put, like, in parentheses, like, Brad is still good. Brad still built a great franchise. But Brad's team is also never made the playoffs. That formula, like, there has to be. It's like if you have a mathematical equation, like, you have to switch something up in this equation to get it right, because there's something in this thing that's not adding up to what you're supposed to be.
Well, they technically have gone backwards. They made the NFC Championship game. They didn't win a playoff game, and now they missed the playoffs. So they technically have gone backwards. And now last year, okay, fine, chalk it up to injuries. This year, you can't chalk it up to injuries like you did last year or the prior year. You can't do that if we're going last year as in this past season. You can't do it. They didn't suffer as nearly as many injuries. They had 2 All-Pros playing and they missed it. So I see it all the time. And again, I'm very thankful for the fan base that we've been able to create here at Crunch Time Sports. I think these people are very level-headed. So I think Twitter, I always make the joke it's a fake place because it just doesn't. These people on Twitter are just I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know. It's the most. Honestly, I go on Twitter for a little bit. Obviously we have our Twitter account, so I'll stay on top of everything and news and everything. But some of these people, man, I can't do it. It's crazy to me. I mean, it just is. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So if you're not looking for ways to improve, you're getting worse. Like if you don't look at people in your profession that are doing things successfully and you're trying to take little nuggets from that person or that organization or whatever it is, then I don't know what to tell you. I think that's how people in life get better and improve. You look at people in your profession and see what they're doing. I think Brad Holmes, if I'm Brad Holmes or if I'm a general manager, yeah, you have your way, you have your philosophy, and Brad's philosophy has gotten to them to a certain point, and they drafted some really good players. He hasn't built a terrible roster, but to say that Brad, and he even admitted it in his press conference, he doesn't have things he needs to self-reflect on. If you think Brad is just perfect human being, I don't know what you're smoking. So I really don't. So yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. There should be things that people can be honest about, from Brad Holmes to Dan Campbell. And, we've had tons of these conversations, but it feels like people are still like, it's funny to me. I really believe, Boone, there's a section of this fan base, and it's fine, whatever. I'm not, they're fans at the end of the day. And there's a lot of people that no matter what the Lions do, they will always be a fan of it. And that's okay. Like that. Hey, that's your opinion. No matter what they do, you will back them up. And I think there's another section of the fan base that calls bullshit when they see it, and says, what is this? This doesn't make sense. I don't agree with this. And those people I align more with, and I got a lot of respect for it. But yeah, there's people that will defend things blindly, Boone. I mean, whatever they get spoon-fed, they'll happily take it. I mean, they don't mind.
It's one of those. I don't know, honestly, and I don't. And genuinely, this is me asking, and this is not me being disrespectful, because we know people who work in this industry, and like we know people who cover the team at a very high level. I wonder. I've never been to like journalist school, or that's not my cup of tea. I'm content, right? Like it has nothing to do with like, I get people all the time who message me that are in that world, and like, Booner, don't do this, don't do that. This is not a part of journalistic. I'm not an actual journalist. I'm a content creator. And with that comes, for me, it's like, I get a feeling sometimes some people who are in that world, every time there is some type of big news or news with the Lions, that it is their job to always find the positive for it. Like always. And listen, if that's it, and maybe that's how I take it. That's because of what I've read and what I see. And listen, I don't like that as much. Like I like to be like opinion based. And exactly. And that's what I'm starting to realize a little bit. And maybe I need to kind of settle down a little bit on Twitter and in the world, and just be able to realize like that's that's journalistic integrity, to, I guess, is that's how they look at it, where they're not going to, poo-poo on any move that's made, because they want to be in the room and they want to be in the building. And if they do, there might be pushback. And I mean, you look at some of the people in the city who have covered all these sports that have pushed back and don't do that for everything. What's his name that we actually met at the Rocket Mortgage? Great human, by the way. Great dude. Who's the dude Carlos, unbelievable person. We sat at a table and had lunch with him at the Rocket Mortgage. Like, unbelievable dude, but everyone hates him because he gives his real opinion, right? Like, he pushes back on what he feels, right? Where a lot of people just, no matter what, they don't want to be the Carlos of it. Shout out Carlos, but they don't want to be the Carlos of it. So they're gonna always be like, hey, this is the positive of it, right? And it's weird to me that's the case, man. It is very weird. And there's people like the Doc, who the Doc's always honest, right? Always. And then there's people who are kind of in the middle. And this isn't a bad thing, but like, who I think is really good at kind of both sides is, I think, like Corey, who's going to be on tomorrow. I think Corey's a lead at both sides, and he'll tell you how it is. Like, if he doesn't like something, he'll tell you how it is. And if he likes something, he's going to tell you that way. And he's going to give both sides to it. But there are some people who are on one side or the other. And I just don't think it's just very, I'm learning that a lot, and it's very weird. And I don't think it should be like that. Listen, Jeff, I've been on the side that was full slappy and didn't want to hear any negativity. I've been on that side. I've told people to relax and calm down. I would like to think I'm in the middle now. And the negative part about being in the middle is I give my positives. Like today, we're going to talk about the new head or the new coaching hire. I give my positives now, but I also will give my negatives. But I just noticed I give my negatives way less than I do positive. Jeff, you know that, right? Like I'm probably positive 80% of the time, negative 20. That 20%, dude, when I'm negative on Twitter, the amount of hate that comes out of this fan base is ridiculous. And people who cover the team, and if you can go to my Twitter and see it, quite frankly, it's insane that you just cannot have your own opinion without being like, you're not allowed to cheer for this team because you said something negative. You're a loser if you say that, in my opinion. Like that's like you're not like that's not it, dude. Yeah, like Detroit supremacy. You're not a real fan. Like when you say that because you have a negative opinion, like come on, dude. I like Detroit supremacy, but like people who say that stuff, like those are just like bad people, in my opinion. Like this is not cool.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind. I respect all opinions. Now I'm gonna disagree, and I said this morning too. Like I've been wrong plenty of times. Like that's the thing people have to understand. This is an opinion business. Fans too. Like I saw someone put in there like Carlos gave the 2024 draft an F. Like okay, he was wrong. He was way wrong. But like. You can't say, at that time, there's people out there that didn't like the Gibbs pick, didn't like the Jack Campbell pick. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't thrilled about the Jack Campbell pick. I love Jack Campbell, but not at that spot. Well, I was wrong. He's a great player. Like it happens. You know what I'm saying? I love Hendon Hooker. I was wrong.
I loved Matty Pats, and I was wrong.
You know what I mean? Like that's all part of the thing, man. Like people try and act like you got to hit 100%. Even the people that are negative, it's like, hey. It is what it is. To what you alluded to, though, the Lions did bring in someone that I think we should be positive about. Surprise, we can be positive as well. And they decided to hire someone that they interviewed to be their OC. Former New York Giants OC and interim head coach Mike Kafka is joining the Detroit Lions staff in a high-ranking offensive role. Per Tom Pelissero, Kafka interviewed for the Lions OC job and ends up in Detroit with another role. This is someone who had, by the way, interest from NFL teams.
Multiple.
This is someone who had interest from NFL teams. This is someone who has not only been an offensive coordinator, but he's interviewed for head coaching gigs, a lot of them. He's worked alongside Andy Reid. He's been the passing coordinator of the Chiefs. He's been the OC of the Giants. He was the interim head coach, ton of experience, very bright offensive mind. The Lions know exactly who Mike Kafka is, Boone, because we got to see him firsthand torch us with Jameis Winston. So he is someone that they added to their staff to assist with Dan and Drew Petzing and probably a passing game coordinator role. I love David Shaw. I think it's probably best if you just put Mike Kafka there and get rid of David Shaw. I think he's just a better fit there. The experience. I think this is a great hire. I think this is, to me, this is like, hey, we're bolstering this coaching staff. I've hammered how important coaching is in the playoffs and in general. It's so important. People, like to factor in other coaching. Man, coaching's important. You see what the Seahawks are able to do this weekend, dude? Coaching is incredibly important, and they just stacked their offense with Mike Kafka. It's a home run hire, dude. Home run hire on offense.
I agree. The craziest thing about it is I think obviously like everyone knew Mike Kafka, and I remember when we did our top 5 OC, guys who wanted as offensive coordinator, Mike Kafka's name kept popping up in the chat, kept popping up when I posted on Twitter. People were like, we want Mike Kafka on this list and high. And I know there was a lot of people who wrote articles and work around the team that even put out there that Mike Kafka was one of their top picks to be the offensive coordinator. And Jeff, I even remember when Drew Petzing got the job as the offensive coordinator, that got announced. I saw people even talking about like, what about Mike Kafka? Like, did they not consider Mike Kafka? So, in my opinion, like a week later, you bring in Drew Petzing, and then a week later you announce that Mike Kafka's going to be on the staff here. Like, I think this is an absolute, like you said, a home run for Dan. I think Dan put together I don't want to say like all-star, but when you do talk about like role, like.
No, it's an all-star offensive staff.
When you talk about like position groups and like when you're looking at, you want to get the best of the best in there, like you just got a guy who was an OC for the last 3 years and a guy who had probably options to almost get OC jobs around the league in this cycle. And he chose to come to Detroit to just be an offensive assistant in a high-ranking role. And you know what this actually shows me, Jeff, if I'm being honest? Dan Campbell is learning from his mistakes at a very high level because he has set it up to where if Drew Petzing is not very good at play calling, and again, I know Dan probably puts all his trust into Drew Petzing and he's going to trust him, but if something happens like the John Morton thing last year, Dan Campbell had to take over play calling. You have an offense, like someone that you literally interviewed for that same position in the building that you can give play calling responsibilities to and give yourself you essentially have a second OC in that building. And if that doesn't work out, then you just go to Dan. But you essentially in that building now, which is really crazy, you have 3 offensive coordinators running that offense. Drew Petzing, Dan Campbell, and Mike Kafka. And then if you want to be like Hank Fraley and Scotty Montgomery, like go from there. But you have 3 dudes who in the last 12 months have play calling experience at a high level.
Yes.
So I have like compared to, remember last year we were like, we got to see what, dude, I don't even think we have to see what this, I think this offense is going to be just fine. Even if there's a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning, you have these guys in this building. Like, dude, they have the personnel and the coaches in this building. This is going to be a good offense. I am so far from worried about this offense moving forward because of the people you have in this building now. That was a hell of a hire from Dan Campbell. And I think this is Dan putting his nuts on the table and being like, all right, you guys can trust me. And I love it. And you know what? Sorry, I have a positive take. It's on me.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. But I think it's important for what Xavier just said in the chat earlier. He was spot on. They have a passing game specialist in Mike Kafka and a run game specialist in Drew Petzing.
It's beautiful.
You get kind of both there, and you nailed it. Like you have kind of a backup plan in case Drew Petzing just blows up in your face, which I think Dan Campbell is fully aware of the pressure there, having to hit on your OC. He's got 2 guys basically that are OC candidates,
Quietly too. One thing with this too, Scotty Montgomery interviewed for the OC job in Baltimore, which I don't know if we could do, but like that all intertwines together because Mike Kafka comes in. If Scotty Montgomery ends up taking that job, you have Mike Kafka in the building too now. So it's like, you know what I mean? You're essentially just replacing Scotty Montgomery with Mike Kafka, which I don't think is like the worst replacement at all. I think very highly of Scotty Montgomery. I think he can be a good OC one day. And obviously he's the associate head coach or assistant head coach. So at the end of the day, like if you lose Scotty, who's the best to replace it? Probably a guy who's been an OC and who it literally interviewed for your OC job.
He'll probably, I think Mike Kafka would be the most qualified to be that associate head coach. Like he would be the most. I think he was actually that with Brian Daboll. He was. Yeah,
and he was the interim head coach when Brian Daboll got fired, and look what he did versus the Lions. It was like very clear. Like the locker room loved him, and he's a great coach.
So I'm curious to see what happens. Scotty's interviewing with the Ravens, which like I'll say this unselfishly. I hope he gets it. He's well overdue. I think he's been. Scotty doesn't get enough credit. I mean, the guy has been working with running backs. They excelled the year he worked with them or the years. Wide receivers. Look at what he did with the wide receivers. I mean, you had J-Mo and Amon-Ra get 1,000, and you had Isaac Tesla improve dramatically throughout the whole season. I think Scotty's due for an OC job. Listen, whether you think he'll be good or not, he deserves to get an opportunity to call plays. So if that happens, they'll probably bring in some wide receiver coach, but then Mike Kafka should get that passing game specialist, so kind of the Dan Campbell's right-hand man on offense. I think that'd be a great addition there. I mean, I think after everything we kind of spoke about, I think this is Dan being super self-aware with the fact of, hey, Drew Petzing, like there are question marks. The fit is really good. And it's a good fit. You just don't know of the ceiling there, or I guess the floor. I don't know how bad the floor would be with Drew Petzing, but Mike Kafka has done it, and he's had at least he has a pretty impressive resume when it comes to what he's done, and he's creative too. One thing we've seen with Drew Petzing or heard from like Arizona is he's not really creative. Mike Kafka's creative. Like they've done trick plays.
I mean, you saw the Jameis touchdown versus us.
So I think he'll have an
firsthand at Ford Field
side of it too, where he'll
Yep.
put his input in on some of those trick plays and more creative concepts, which will help the Lions a lot.
I love too with this, Jeff, that Dan Campbell's going to be able to get back to where he doesn't have to go put as much of his energy into the offense. He's able now to, get back to, hey, this is what our culture is, influencing and making sure that the culture in that building throughout the whole season is dialed in offensively and defensively, special teams, because you did see when he did start taking play calling over, we've brought this up throughout the season. That was when you saw kind of the fall off a little bit of smaller things around that team. The special teams having a little bit more mistakes. Defense fell off a little bit. You started to see a little bit more penalties. That was when Dan Campbell took play calling over. And it was obvious, hey, he is putting a lot of his time into the offense and play calling and being the offensive coordinator. Now you have multiple guys in this room. I hope Scotty stay. I would love Scotty to get an opportunity, Jeff. I think that'd be awesome for him. I hope he ends up, selfishly, I hope he ends up staying in Detroit for at least one more year. So you get him, Kafka, Drew Petzing, Hank Fraley, Dan Campbell, Scott Brunell,
Mark Brunell. Yeah.
Mark Brunell, sorry. You get all of these guys. I wonder what's going to happen to Tashard Choice. I'm sure he's still going to be there.
Yeah, I would think so. I know people are, they say things about him, but if you look at, let's just take a second to really look at this offensive staff. You have Hank Fraley, who, very good O-line coach. You have Scotty Montgomery. You have Mark Brunell. You have Mike
David
Kafka.
Shaw.
Yeah, well, I will see. We'll see if David Shaw might stay. I don't know. Maybe he stays. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, David Shaw, will throw him in there. Mike
You
Kafka,
think he's gone?
I don't know. I don't know. I hope Mike Kafka gets that pass game specialist, but we'll see. Never know. Drew Petzing, which whatever. It could be good, but still, collectively, they got some dudes on that offensive staff, and then Dan Campbell kind of overseeing it all. But here's what I texted you: what side of the ball needs an expertise more, Mike Kafka? That's where I'm I would love if they brought in that type of guy, like a Mike Kafka type of guy, where it's hey, we're bringing this guy in. He hasn't gotten a DC job, but he's going to be a top assistant on the defensive staff. Because look at the defensive staff. Okay, Casey Rogers, defensive line coach. He's respected. He was a DC at one point, so he has some of that experience. But people are still kind of questioning the interior defensive line wasn't that good. Deshae Townsend, people are straight up out on him. Jim O'Neill, I believe his name is, safeties coach. He's interviewed, so he's actually got teams that are interested in him. He's done a really good job.
He's coming back next year.
He's coming back. But Kelvin Shepherd, you don't that defensive staff really needs some juice.
I've been saying this. I've been saying it for weeks. They were focused on the wrong side of the ball. I'm super happy with the Mike Kafka hire, and I'm happy they did it. And I don't want to take away from that. I think Dan deserves the credit. That's an unbelievable hire. Him getting Drew Petzing and Mike Kafka. That is 2 OCs. There's only 32 offensive coordinators a year, right, Jeff? You got 2 of them that were OCs last year. And neither of them actually got fired. Their head coaches
doesn't really
did.
Typically happen. I mean,
that's why when I saw it today, I was shocked. And again, neither of them got fired. Their head coaches got fired. They just were out of a job. And that was it's hard to come by, getting 2 guys that didn't get fired the year before as your OCs, or as an OC and an offensive assistant. I'm right there with you, though. They got to. I think something's going to be coming up. I think maybe Dan was focused on the offensive staff, and I think it seems like that this offensive staff might be locked in. Obviously, you have to figure out with Scotty Montgomery, whatever happens with him. But I think that offensive staff is pretty set, and you know what you have next year, A+ staff. I think Dan. I hope Jeff this week, he was all right, let's dive into this defense a little bit. We just took a week or 2 and we got our offensive staff together. Now I can fully dive into what we need to do on this defensive side of the ball. And
that could be it too.
I'm hoping.
Do it. Yeah, I really hope that you can give, because listen, and I tweeted that out. I think Dan Campbell should bring in a veteran, like they did with Mike Kafka on the defensive side. I think it would help develop Calvin Shepherd. And someone commented and we're are we sure we should develop Shepherd? I'm trust me, bro. I don't agree with developing Shepherd, but since we're already here and he's coming back, you should have someone who, in case something happens with Kelvin, you have someone there to be okay, I'm here. I've done this. Obviously the great ones already have jobs. So I'm not saying, you can find this elite like Raheem Morris to come in. Like clearly those guys will get a job, but maybe like I know Steve even says, what better position for Rex Ryan? Like imagine like some dude like that where, he's been a DC, he's, an older guy can come in and just be like someone that kind of like Brad Holmes has that. Why am I blanking? Brad Holmes has that. Why am I'm blanking on who it is. Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes has that. Who's the GM who was a part of the Chiefs, helped them draft Mahomes? The chat would know. But he has the guy that is always in the room.
Mike Disner?
No. Damn, I'm blanking. Damn, Brad Holmes has that, basically. Like, everyone could use that, is my point. Dorsey.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dorsey.
John Dorsey.
That dude could be a GM. Like, he's...
Not Khalil Dorsey, John Dorsey, by the way.
John Dorsey.
I'm
yeah,
kidding,
thank you, guys. I don't know why I was blanking on that.
Shout
Brad
out Khalil
Holmes has
Dorsey.
that. That's like, like John Dorsey's up there with Brad. He helps him during the kind of the draft time and helps him kind of develop. Like, I think that'd be a good thing for the defense, but we'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe they do something.
I saw so someone in the chat put it, but we also, and someone in our group chat actually put it, I think on our big group chat with a bunch of the guys, put Raheem Morris. Like, is Raheem Morris an automatic, like, he's going to be a DC or nothing? Or is he like, is he one of those guys to say, I'll just remember, like, do you remember, actually is a very good example of this, Jeff, like one of the best examples of it. Before Mike Vrabel took over for the New England Patriots, he had a year where he just sat, and I think he knew, and I actually texted you guys today about it. Like, I think Mike Vrabel knew, like, he was going to, like, the whole time he was going to become the Patriots head coach after he got fired from the Titans. And what did he do between that season? He worked with the Cleveland Browns defense, and the Cleveland Browns defense that year. And I don't remember if Jim Schwartz was there at the time or if it was right before, but I remember that Cleveland Browns defense was playing at a pretty good level, right? Like they looked pretty decent that year, and obviously they do have a lot of good pieces. But like a thing like that where Raheem Morris is like, hey, I'm either going to be a head coach or a DC soon. Maybe I just need a year where I'm just like an advisor, or I'm just coming in. Mike Vrabel, one of the best head coaches in the Super Bowl now, got fired from the Titans, and instead of being like, I'll go be a DC or do this, he literally was like, I think the word they called it, like, I don't even know, like an analyst or
I know
something random. And he just came in. I don't think he got paid anything. And he literally lived in Cleveland from training camp until the end of the season and just worked with that team. And you just need like a Raheem Morris who comes in and just like, hey man, I'll just come work with the boys like for 1 year. And then when you guys, like, obviously you guys can figure it out the next year, but they need someone like that. I think you're spot on. Because I don't think at the end of the day, like, Jeff, I think me and you have said it before, like, I don't think Kelvin Shepherd's a bad coach. Like, I think Shep has a very, very bright future. The problem I think a lot of people have is you're in a moment right now in this franchise. You don't have time for a guy to develop or a guy to learn, and you to have, all the, like, hiccups to where it costs you going to the playoffs. And you don't have that. And that's what happened this last year is defensively, even when there were injuries, like the thing with AG is when AG had injuries, what did he do? He kept the team afloat. He kept the defense afloat. He was a vet. He's done it for 3 or 4 years. He knew what he had to do to get by. It was clear that Shep struggled in some moments, whether it was giving up the run and not putting players in the correct position to be successful. And if you have a Raheem Morris in the building, or you have someone in the building there that has done it before and can say, hey, this is what we should be doing, it just helps him progress him up a little bit faster, right? So you don't have to wait another year, or another 2 years for him to get that down.
Yeah, someone that can help him avoid mistakes. Like AG got a chance to face adversity and understand what adversity looks like as a DC and kind of battle through that years until they were good. Like Calvin got to see it, but he hasn't gotten to experience it as a defensive coordinator. Like AG had, like Calvin stepped in and they were like Super Bowl. That's a tough ask. Like that's why, I've always said, as much as I want a new DC, it has nothing to do with, I don't believe Calvin can ever be a good coach. It's just the timeline I don't think lines up. That's what I'm worried about. And this year, again, you're in a make or break year, and you can't really afford for DC to develop. Like that's kind of the point we're making here. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that all turns out. Now, we did mention earlier about, the Seattle Seahawks stuff. So I did want your thoughts before we get into like the John Schneider thing, the games yesterday. Like, by the way, GG to Caleb. It's over. It was over.
Oh yeah. You have to sit in the McDonald's. We'll figure out once the season's fully wrapped up and we have some things. We'll probably do your punishment. My guess would be towards the end of February. We got some stuff to handle the next few weeks, and then once we get everything sorted out, and
so congratulations to Caleb. I went 0-2, so quite literally the opposite of what I needed to do. The Broncos, they covered the 4.5, and then and then the Rams straight up lost. So
to be fair, there was nothing you could have done because Caleb went 2-0. So you could have picked whatever way. And
well, no, he went 1-1. He picked the Rams with me.
Oh, he picked the Rams.
Yeah, so I had to. Honestly, I tailed the wrong pick. I should have faded them Seahawks Rams and picked Broncos.
Yeah, you should have went Broncos and then you should have went Seahawks.
And then I would have went 2-0 and then but anyway, it doesn't even matter. It's over. But I will say, just to speak on yesterday, one thought on that Broncos Patriots game. Sean Payton, bro, you got to take the points early, bro. I mean, you got to take those points, man. Yeah. Second half, that game, I love watching football. I love watching snow games. That's the type of football I do like watching. It's nasty football. And I know some people don't like watching it, like that type of weather. Like, and I not saying I'd like to play in it. I'm thankful the Lions have a dome. But they had it. They were kind of in it with Jarrett Stidham. He had that tough, like controversial. It was like a backwards pass. They didn't think it. He had that moment there where he.
That was I thought that was a fumble. Like
I did too. I did too.
And it sucks. They didn't even. It was crazy. They didn't even call it a touchdown. Which is.
It was. I thought that was a straight up fumble. But yeah, the Broncos just couldn't do it. And honestly, I think it's better the Patriots win just for viewers. Like you want to see a team in the Super Bowl that doesn't have a backup quarterback, bro.
Yeah, especially versus Seahawks. Like you don't want to see Stidham versus that defense, the Seahawks. It would have been an ugly game no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And then that Rams game too. That defense.
Yeah. So the first game, before we go to that game, just the first game, just Sean Payton. By the way, like Sean Payton's Dan Campbell. Like I saw someone in there be like Sean, or Sean's trying to be like Dan. Like Dan learned from Sean. Sean Payton has always been an aggressive coach. So was I shocked he did that? No. I wonder why there wasn't no one in his building saying, "Hey, Sean, snow's coming. Let's just get points." You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're Sean, you're like, I'm going to be Sean Payton. I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to go for fourth downs. I'm going to all that. That's Sean Payton. I'm just shocked that they just didn't realize, hey, there is a massive snowstorm coming in the second half. We need every point we can because we might not be able to. Because they started kicking field goals in the second half, but it was so snowy they couldn't make them. So they missed like 2 or 3. And I'll say this too for a lot of people, because Jeff, I don't even think you agree with me on this. A lot of people are like discrediting Drake May and the Patriots for their run. I give them credit, man. Like that defense, they went up against, I think it was like the number 1, the number 4, and number 5 defense in the NFL, or number 2 or something throughout the playoff run that they had. And I know Drake May didn't play great. You don't go to the Super Bowl and you're not in the position you are without Drake May. That game yesterday, Drake May's legs won them that game.
Dude, no question. He closed
that was it. Because it was a defensive game. He was running everywhere. I think he ran for like 60, 70 yards, and he ran in for a touchdown. They were never going to go score a touchdown with his arm or running the ball and one of their running backs. The only way they won that game yesterday, in my opinion, was Drake May being able to run the ball. That was it. And that changed everything in that game yesterday. And I think even the credit for Drake May, like a lot of people, Jeff, were commenting on my tweet. I put a tweet out about like elite quarterback, elite head coach, elite defense. That's how you win a Super Bowl. I know you talk about all the time that you need quarterback, coach, GM. I think it's quarterback. I'm throwing defense.
No, that's for sustained success.
I think defense needs to be in there too. Like I think defense needs. Let's add a 4th. Let's start adding a 4th. Let's add defense because I put that on my tweet, and a lot of people are like, Drake May's not elite. All right, that man is a MVP or an MVP runner-up this year, and he's playing in a Super Bowl in year 2. That's pretty elite to me. Like that's elite. So I put Drake May in that elite category, and I thought all the people talking down on him and this run for them completely off base, in my opinion. I think that defense is incredible, and I think Drake May is, whether he's played well or not, you have to give him credit. So
yeah,
we go to Ram him now. I had to get that out there.
The same point applies to both. If you want to win a Super Bowl, man, you need, like you said, I know I've said this a bunch of times. You need a great head coach, great quarterback, great defense, and if you have those things, you'll have a chance. And the Patriots and the Seahawks, like, say what you want. I've been down on Sam Darnold. Like, he's not. I wouldn't say he's great, but he had a great performance. He did. He had a great performance against.
Say Boone. Say it. You texted to me last night. I just want you to say, hey, Boone.
No, you were right about the Seahawks, man.
That's all I want to hear.
Yeah,
we had such a battle all year about that. And
I just
finally like the fact that they're actually in the Super Bowl is one of the most, like, for me, I had them in the top 5 the whole time. You're like, I'm not doing it. I'm not putting them at number 1. I'm not putting them at 2. I'm not putting them at 3.
Because I was waiting on a Sam Darnold meltdown, and he honestly did quite the opposite. He played really
what did I say all year, though? I've said it since I think it was like week 2 or week 3 when I watched the Seahawks. What did I say when I've had them in my top 5 the whole year? I said that defense is going to carry them. Like, even if Sam has a bad game, like, it was like that game where he had 5 turnovers versus the Rams. What happened in that game? They go to overtime and they almost win. And when you do that and have 4 or 5 turnovers, it's like, it's hard to beat a team like that. A quarterback has 4 or 5 turnovers and your defense just continues to keep you in it. Like, that's
and people
that's
are
impressive.
People are going to bring up, like, well, I saw someone, I think it was Jomo in there, put like, well, 50 something points combined defense. No, if you watch, like, the Rams, they got a touchdown off a 4th down conversion because Tariq Woolen couldn't keep his mouth shut. The Rams should have only scored 20. That game should have been a double-digit win.
Oh.
And the Rams scored 20, but they scored an extra touchdown because of Tariq Woolen yapping. That's literally what happened.
Also, Seahawks probably shouldn't have. If you want to just keep going like that, like, even the Rams defense at times, I thought the Rams defense was good in a lot of moments. Rams defense gets a 3 and out, punt it. Rams have a chance to go take the lead, like 3rd, 4th quarter, whatever it was. Rams punt returner
fumbles,
tries to catch the ball on his butt, like sitting down, tries to catch the ball, fumbles it. They get the ball at the 7, go score a touchdown. And it's like, listen, you lose by 5 points. That's the game. You know what I mean? Like, those are the moments. And it was like
their special teams coach right after the game,
as he should. That was, he had him in there. That guy bobbled the ball in the 1st quarter. And then in the 3rd quarter, they get a 3 and out. Go take the lead, and he fumbles it, and it was just like, why was he even in there?
Mm-hmm.
They lost because of special teams, in my opinion. That was something.
Yeah, and like, real quick, like, Chris Shula, like, are we sure he's this prodigy defensive mind? Like, that defense over the last, like, 6 weeks for the Rams has been melting down, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's that secondary. You opened my eyes to it with the Rams a little bit. Klotz all year was like Rams defense. They're the greatest thing of all time. You were the one that actually opened my eyes to it. I think it was when the Lions played the Rams, and you were like, Booner, Lions could stay in this game because look how bad the Rams secondary is.
Dude,
and when I heard that and I started watching them, I was like, that's going to be their Achilles heel. Like, they're going to lose because of that Rams or that secondary. And that's exactly what happened.
Dude, Sam Darnold carved them up. JSN carved them up. But
Cooper Kupp in the second half dominated them as well.
It's like they got carved up, dude.
Cooper Kupp, I had him in a parlay, dude. Cooper Kupp had 0 yards in the first half, and I was like, I'm dead. Ends up 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown in 1 half.
Yeah, and honestly, I will say the better team won in the Seahawks, but Seahawks Patriots is an interesting. Honestly, like, and this is what we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes. These teams, man, like, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl with a whole different roster. The Seahawks are back in the Super Bowl with a whole different roster. You got the Rams in the NFC Championship game with a whole different roster. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. I
feel like I'm like 13 years old again.
Yeah, it's like, dude, these teams rebuilt and got back into championship games and Super Bowls. I mean, it's
before we've gotten to the Super Bowl.
It's insane. Now, Lions were in an NFC Championship game, but like, these teams, man, like John Schneider, they won a Super Bowl. Actually, I wanted to show you this. That he won. He got this. Well, he won like the executive of the year, which Brad Holmes has won twice, by the way. But the point of this tweet I'm bringing up is super impressive. I mean, John Schneider is the first GM in NFL history to reach multiple Super Bowls with the same organization while having a new head coach and no players from the previous Super Bowl team. Like the Rams did that with Jared and Matthew, but they had some similar players.
Yeah.
But the Seahawks had no. They have
and the same head coach too.
And the same head coach. Yes, that is.
I feel like head coach is a big one. The players is the craziest part. No players. So this guy essentially just reset everything.
A whole new team. A whole new team and head coach, and they got back.
And the craziest thing, I don't know if you remember this a couple years ago when they let go of Pete Carroll. Like Pete Carroll was like, they don't know what they're doing. John Schneider has no clue what he like. There was like that whole thing where they were just it was such a big, and then all of a sudden John Schneider brings in Mike McDonald and has an insane roster.
Yep.
So it's like who's got the last laugh?
But you can't use the Seahawks either.
No.
You know what I think my takeaway was from watching, and we kind of hinted at the beginning, but I saw this graphic and Benjamin Solak put this out, and it's just it's funny to me. And again, I'll dive into my take on this, but he put this out. The top two, look at the top 4 spending teams is free agency. New England Patriots are 1, Seahawks are 4th, and they're both in the Super Bowl. Now, it doesn't always equate because you see the Giants and the Vikings, obviously. So spending money doesn't always mean that, but it's just ironic that 2 of the top 4 teams that spend money in the offseason are here in the Super Bowl. They basically built, like the Patriots built a whole new roster. And let me make sure I say that, make this very clear. Just because you spend money doesn't always mean you'll have success. I think the important thing to take away is both these teams, man, like Drake May's on a rookie deal. And Sam Darnold, his cap hit this year, bro, is $13 million. He has a $13 million cap hit this year. So both these teams have quarterbacks that are making pennies, and they're able to spend a lot of money, which they did, and they spent it right. And on top of that, guess what? On top of that, they've drafted really good players. So, like the Seahawks, dude, like we talked about it last week. Like the Seahawks have hit on 2 to 3 contributors every single year. The last 2 years, they've had 2-3 guys playing. Like Nick Amanawari. You told me earlier. You talked to me yesterday about it. Nick Amanawari, rookie. Look at all the plays he made as a rookie. Couple pass deflections.
Yeah, he had literally a possession where he was 3 straight pass deflections, 3 and out, all him.
And guess what? Nick Amanawari, guess what pick he was? Second round.
He was second round, yeah.
So
I loved him.
Second round pick made impactful plays for you to make a Super Bowl push. I
had a mock draft, Nick Amanawari going to the Lions. Remember, I did in the first round. I said, would you guys be mad? Another safety? People said, oh, boom.
Yeah, now
would have loved to have Nick Amanawari with the injuries he had this year, huh?
I mean, he's a freak. And so that's like the big thing is like they have their first round pick from last year, Byron Murphy. Look at Byron Murphy II. Look what he's doing this year. He had a career year, 7 sacks, defensive tackle. He had a big year, and he's making plays for them. Like
Leonard Williams,
they made a trade for Leonard Williams. Like they acquired talent. Now Brad would say, well, they don't have any in Hutchinson, but guess what? They have a really good collection of defensive players, and on top of that, they also have a very, very, very good top in the sport defensive mind coaching their defense, Mike McDonald. So not only do they have talent, they have excellent coaching, and guess what? Who's running the offense? A guy who's going to be a head coach this year. He's their Ben Johnson, Clint Kubiak. Guy's a stud. So they have Clint Kubiak handling the offense, and they have Mike McDonald running the defense. Like, talk about that coaching staff, dude.
Yeah,
that's elite.
I think you got to give to, like, listen, and when you compare, like, hey, Brad, like, look at what they did. Yeah, like, it's easy to do it. I think it's more so like, oh, Brad, you messed up. You should have done what they did. I don't think it's that. I think it's just more so like, hey, this is a little bit of a blueprint of
how
what
they
you can. Yeah, and I think it's a blueprint of like, hey, moving forward, maybe you can value free agency a little bit more. You do, like, you can't have, again, like you just named some of those draft picks that instantly came in. Like a lot of people, like this is one of the craziest things to me, Jeff. This is such a prime example of what me and you have been trying to talk about with a guy like Terrion Arnold over the last 2 years, and even Ennis Rakestraw, to where you need corners on this team, right? Guys who can make impacts. You draft a corner in the first and second round a year ago with Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. You expect that if you value that, and if you're like, hey, I'm good at evaluating talent in the or at the combine or the film, whatever it is for a rookie, that you would think they come in and make an instant impact. Do you know how many people, Jeff, have told us, just wait on TA, man. Just wait on Ennis Rakestraw. Wait on them. TA is going to be so good. He's going to be so good. I promise, just wait. Like, you got to give the guy time. When you're a Super Bowl contender, like, you don't have the time to wait. Nick Amanawari, instantly, as a second-round pick last year, he's a rookie. He's not in his second, third year where they waited, let him develop. Nick Amanawari is a rookie who is making plays on a Super Bowl winning, or not winning yet, but a Super Bowl defense. He is one of the best defenders in that secondary. That's a rookie that they went out and drafted in 1 year. Instantly, he made an impact. And a lot of people will push back with TA. And it's like, dude, no, like, that was, I'm not going to say it was a full miss and hey, he's a bust. Like, I still think he has but I think he's been disappointing the first 2 years because you've needed someone in that position and they haven't stepped up. And you used a first round pick on it. And if you want to be like, well, Booner, Brad, trust Brad. Brad's done it before, dude. He drafted Brian Branch in the second round. That's worked out. He's drafted Sam Laporta in the second round. And it's like, I give him credit for all of those. But if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to continue to do that because you need that. You need players making impacts. You can't go 2 straight drafts without drafting impactful players. And that's what Brad's done. And that's where it's like, hey, just look at the blueprint with the Seahawks. Like, I know it's like, oh, it sounds so easy. But no, it's like, really, like, Brad, like, maybe you got a little too cute. And for people who want to push back at me for saying that, like, Brad said it in the press conference. Maybe I got away from where I was. Like, maybe I got away from what I was doing before. And when, Jeff, I told you were kind of questioning when he said that, and I broke it down to you and said, when Brad says that, I legit think he means, like, before he was drafting guys that could impact instantly. Brian Branch, this. And then in the draft, he went away and started drafting the TAs, the guys that, like, the Ty Leagues. Oh, well, we have guys ahead of them. They could take a couple of years. No, like, you've never done that. Why are you doing that now? Why? And I think when Brad said that in the press conference, I legit think that's what he meant in the sense of, I just need to get dudes in here, even in the draft, that can play right away and that can come in and compete. Because we can't just let you sit back and be like, hey, man, we'll let the vets do it. You could just come whenever you're ready. You have a year or two. Just sit there. Like, you look at the Seahawks. They have multiple guys on year 1 or year 2 on that defense who are making plays in the NFC Championship game. Big plays, not just small, big plays. And you can't get one of your guys to make any of those plays in the regular season in week 4 versus the Cleveland Browns. Like,
yeah,
it's like, dude.
It's not even the expensive signings like Julian Love. Julian Love is a starting safety. The Lions don't need to sign a safety, but contracts like he got
$11 million.
Like, he got, dude, no, but even before that, when they first got Julian Love, he signed a 2-year, $12 million contract.
There you go.
And then he just got an extension because he's really good. But like,
he got 11 a year, not 25.
Yeah, but they got, guys that they signed Julian Love to a 2-year, $12 million deal, and he obviously overachieved and they extended him. But like, you find value in certain free agents you can bring in. They've done it through trade, like we talked about with Leonard Williams. Like, they obviously brought in Sam Darnold, paid him $30 a year. So I think the big thing the Lions have against them is, in the reality is, Jared Goff's contract and all these other contracts. I mean, they just are paying a lot of guys. That's why their window of paying having all that money to spend where Brad was kind of passive is like frustrating because they had the money like the Seahawks did at one point. Like the Seahawks and the Patriots, they have a lot of guys contributing that are cheap. The Lions had that at one point. They just threw away that time. You know what I'm saying? Like that, they just wasted that time. I mean that respectfully. Like they weren't as aggressive as they should have been when they had all the money. Like they just weren't. Now the Bills do, and now everyone's expensive. So that's just the reality. Now, the tweet you were talking about, which Jim Costa, this is where he was called a hot take artist. Let's take a listen to Jim Costa's take on the Seahawks, and then we'll see if he's a hot take artist or not.
Exposed Brad Holmes. That's what an elite front office executive looks like. They traded away Russell Wilson a year after Holmes traded Stafford. He's flipped the entire roster, all 22. In addition to great drafting, Holmes has done that. In Seattle, they've also prioritized aggressive free agents and big-time trades. Brad Holmes, you got to do the whole job of being the general manager. You got exposed.
I don't think it's necessarily exposing him, but in regards to, hey, general manager, he's been the general manager in Seattle since 2010. He has had more opportunity to learn, more opportunity to make mistakes and be the guy that we're sitting there going, well, should they get rid of Pete Carroll? Should they get rid of John Schneider? Should they get rid of Russell Wilson? They ultimately kept John Schneider, and he has proven that he can turn a roster over. He can get back to the Super Bowl. We'll see if they ultimately win it, which I think they will. I think it's creating a blueprint. Some of the more experienced general managers you need to take a look at. Brad Holmes has been general manager of the year for 2 years.
Yeah.
Not going to be that this year.
You have to draft well. JSN's a draft pick. Kenneth Walker's a draft pick. Both tackles are draft picks. Gray Zabel's a draft pick.
But you can also fumble drafts because we saw John Lynch take Trey Lance and trade a whole bunch of capital for him, yet he's still competing for Super Bowls.
Yeah, you see that last point too. Like, no one's asking, by the way, like, I want to make this very clear because this gets mixed in the message as well. Like, no one needs Brad to be perfect. Like, John Schneider misses on draft picks. You know, all these guys miss on draft picks. No one's saying you can't miss on draft picks. The point you're making is you have to come out of the draft with a couple of guys that can come and contribute in some sort of way. You know, like, that's just the point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Seahawks were able to do that. They had Gray Zabel starting. They had Nick Kamaniwari starting. You know, they drafted him this year. Elijah Aroro, their tight end, he's contributed this year. Last year, Byron Murphy, Tyrus Knight, AJ Barner, all contributing. Devon Witherspoon, JSN, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet from 3 years ago.
Every year they have big-time guys, at least 2 or 3 that are big-time pieces that slowly added up. And I think, though, like what you just named, Jeff, that's what the Lions did for the first 2 or 3 years, and they added them up. But then the next 2 years they didn't draft well, and those guys, you know, you stopped adding to that pool, right? Like, you're slowly adding to the pool of your team of, like, great players, 2 or 3 great players every year, sometimes maybe 3 or 4. You stopped adding to that pool 2 years ago. You get people, you could say TA is not even close to what, like, Nick Kamaniwari was in 1 year. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, they've
and real quick too, because what Jansen said there as well, like, well, with John Schneider, like, you know, took him another 10 years, whatever. John Schneider got the job in Seattle and turned it around in 2 or 3 years, and he went to back-to-back Super Bowls, I believe, in like year 3 or 4. So or maybe 4 or 5, Jeff. I could be wrong. 3 or 4 or 5. Won a Super Bowl as his 3rd or 4th year as the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. So it wasn't like, if people want to be like, well, looking for the 10 years, what? Like, it wasn't like he just had 10 years to learn, didn't win a Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden now he's in the Super Bowl. Like, people try and use that with Howie Roseman. They're like, well, it took him 10, 13 years to do it. John Schneider, in 3 or 4 years, turned that franchise around and got them a Super Bowl, and then went to another Super Bowl the year after. And then, Jeff, when they didn't go back to the Super Bowl, guess what they did? 8 of the 9 years, they had double-digit wins in the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So they were good. Like, they were still in the playoffs competing. They just didn't go back. They obviously couldn't get over that hump. But they were winning double-digit games for 8 of those 9 years. Took a year or 2 off, rebuilt this roster completely, and now they're back in the Super Bowl, man. I think it's a good blueprint. I do. Like, again, you don't have to do it exactly like they did, but I think the number one thing, obviously, is that it proves is, like, you have to continue to draft well. You do. And then I also think, like, how much free agency matters. And sometimes you can't hold on to the players you want in that building. I texted you this morning in our group chat with the doc, and I said, hey, look at what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. I know they have Mahomes, and people are like, oh, Mahomes takes discounts. Mahomes still gets paid a ton of money, right? Like, you still have to find ways to win with Mahomes there. Think about the amount of players. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like the all-pro corners that they've had walk away. Tyrann Mathieu that walked away. Tyreek Hill, like, how many offensive linemen they've had to replace because they have had to pay players, but they don't pay everyone. They don't. They make decisions. They don't get this family atmosphere of, hey, man, you're here, so you're automatically going to get paid. Like, we have to make financial decisions. The Lions have yet to make a financial decision. And when I say decision, people are like, well, yeah, they They made the decision to keep some of those. When it's always yes, I don't think that's a decision. I think that's because a decision has two answers, correct, Jeff? One or yes or no.
Yep.
When it's always yes, it turns into a non-decision.
Well,
it turns into it's an automatic.
Well, speaking of a decision, guess who they looked in the face and said goodbye to? Bobby Wagner. They said goodbye to him. Hall of Famer, Seahawk for life.
And every time I bring this up, too, people love to hit me with the, well, what about if you're Melifonwu? I'm talking about big money deals.
They said goodbye to Bobby when he was older, but still, like, they had every reason to keep giving him deals because he's a Seahawk for life. Like, they were like, nah, bro, like, we got to,
And Bobby got paid. Yeah, it was a lot of money that he was due.
He went to the Commanders, and he still was actually a good linebacker. I mean, it wasn't like he was a bad player. They just were like, hey, we got to go a different direction.
Did he go to the Rams then, or?
I can't remember where he went.
I went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl.
I can't remember, but they said goodbye to him. So, like, point blank, it's like and that's where Jim Costa brought up the Taylor Decker stuff. It's like that's kind of seems like a Taylor Decker thing, where it's like, as much as you love the guy, Lion for life, hey, dude, might be better if we just go our separate ways here. Better for the team, you got to make decisions for sure.
There's going to be tough decisions, and I texted Doc too again in that chat today. It's like, hindsight, you look back, like the Aleem deal. Did you need to do it? No. The JMO deal. Did you need to do it right away? No. You could have waited on that. The Kirby one, I think that there's more so of like an argument of yes, but that was still one where you could be like, that's a huge deal. And you have Brian Branch in the wings, right? So it's like, did you need to do that right away as well? Could you have waited to see with that? And I think it's just like there's a handful of those deals like that where maybe it could, like the Panay one, you're always paying Panay Sewell. You're always paying Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're always paying Aiden Hutchinson. But there was a handful of some of these other guys where it was like, could they be replaced? Probably. Chiefs have done it forever.
Well, it's like, what's this comment? This is a good comment here. CV Titan says, I'm telling you, Brad only takes care of his draft picks. He doesn't take care of free agents. Look at Za'Darius, Carlton, and Almonte. That's why free agents don't come here. I wouldn't say that. That's not why they don't come here. But I will say this. I want to bring up the Za'Darius thing because I've seen people be like, well, he traded for Za'Darius. Guys, like I've said this before, he traded for Za'Darius because half your roster died. I mean, it's not like he added Za'Darius. It'd be different, if he traded for an edge in 2023 or, trying to push for a Super Bowl. He traded for Za'Darius when you had nobody. So, like, hey, kudos to Brad. You made a move, but it wasn't like you were adding a cherry on top of a championship team. You were adding an edge to a room where you had nobody because everyone was hurt. It's like at that point, it was like we have no choice but to make a trade. All I'm asking for is that type of move when you have guys healthy, not DPJ in 2023 when you needed someone to come and contribute. I think I will give him the Carlton Davis because he did trade for Carlton. He was a starter and he contributed and was a good player in Detroit until they couldn't re-sign him. But that to me is like, okay, that's an acquisition that came in when you had a good defense or you were thinking you were going to have a good defense and you didn't end up having a good defense. But I'll give you the Carlton thing. But the Za'Darius thing to me is like, he did that out of desperation. I'm not going to give him like, you know what I mean? I know if you don't think that's fair, it's fine. It'd be different if they added Za'Darius like this year or that type of move this year, Like, by the way, Seahawks added Rashid Shaheed this year in the draft at the trade deadline. And that's a huge acquisition. He's been incredible for him. Look, he made a play in the game yesterday. Yeah. So they traded for a guy.
That was when they had Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they acquired a guy who came in and helped them right away. So it's not like DPJ that one year where he just was basically empty calories. I mean, he didn't really do anything. It is what it is. Jesse, I have said it a million times, Booner. St. Brown, Sewell, Goff were the only ones you had to pay right away. The other first you didn't have to throw money at. JMO, Kirby, McNeil deals. Yeah,
I think looking back, it's probably it. I think one of the big things too, like to your point, with love from the Seahawks, like I even think like with some of these position groups, Jeff, like one of the big things when people want to be like, well, and there was a tweet today that got put out there with the Costa thing that I tweeted back at where it was like, well, I mean, the Lions have spent money in free agency, right? They've spent $100 million over the last year or so in free agency, but it's like, was it good money spent though? Like, were these guys worth it, or did they just leave, or what did they do? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the Amik, you spent money on the Amik. Amik wasn't great for you this last year.
Well, you spent $100 million on Aleem.
You spent the money on Aleem, but even though I'm just saying, like the free agents that were outside of the team, to where it's like, did you spend the money correctly? And instead of maybe spending $100 million on Aleem or spending $100 million on Kirby or $100 and something million on JMO, maybe you go out there and you find a safety that's not worth $25 million, and you find a safety that's worth $12 a year, like Love from the Seahawks, what they did, and they get a guy who obviously is not going to play at 8 interceptions in a year, but you wait to pay Brian Branch and you go out and get a $10 million safety to go with them. Or a defensive tackle that's, I don't know, $11 million instead of Aleem McNeil, and get a guy that actually is going to DeMarcus Lawrence, $10 million a year. Would you rather have DeMarcus Lawrence or Aleem McNeil?
It's not even a question. I mean, I would have DeMarcus Lawrence. Yeah, you could.
How much did you pay Aleem? What was it? 4 years, $90 million?
97.
20. Yeah, the cap hit next year, by the way, for Aleem McNeil is like $26 million. Welcome to the real world, people.
Yeah,
DeMarcus Lawrence cap hit. Let me see. Hold on, I can pull it up right now. His cap hit next year. Take a guess, Jeff.
9 million, 12 million,
11.8 million next year. Guess what it was this year? It was 7.6 million. Aleem McNeil's next year is between like 24 and 26 million. Who's a better player? DeMarcus Lawrence.
Clearly DeMarcus.
And you're sitting here, and Jeff, that's cutting one of your biggest contracts in half. Instead of going out in free agency and getting a deal like a DeMarcus Lawrence, you just paid a guy in-house because he deserves to break the market. No, he doesn't. Not everyone
deserves that. Yeah. The one move I am not as mad about is the Kirby one, because I think that was a move. You're in a tough position where you have both safeties coming up, and I personally like to find a guy who can get interceptions like Kirby. I understand paying him.
I think it's fair. I think that's the one you can lean towards.
You could be like, okay, fine. Aleem, there wasn't production there to spend that type of money. I mean, like, could I find 5 sacks and a good run defender somewhere else? Yeah. Like, I definitely could do that. I mean, you could definitely do that. I mean, the Rams just signed Poona Ford, and he made their run defense really good. And he was a free agent. They just brought in. He's old, like, you know what I mean? Like DJ Reader.
Dude,
they signed.
We brought in Roy Lopez, and he was better than Aleem this year. And he was like 5% of the money that Aleem McNeil was.
It's nothing personal with Aleem. It's just being real here, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, once you get paid, that's when expectations rise. And I'm not even talking about this year. People are always he's coming off an injury. I'm talking about his whole career here. Like, he had in 2024, he showed things and he was good, but is he worth top 5 defensive tackle money? No, he's not.
That's so much money. It's not even just again, I want people to understand this, at least for me. It's not even just an Aleem McNeil problem. I think it's just more so with Brad and the contracts of, hey, you have to find a way. Like, if you're going to pay Jared Goff as much as you do, and if you're going to pay Amon-Ra as much as you do, and Panay and Hutch as much as you do, like those 4 guys, top tier money. Those are like the most expensive positions, and you're paying them top tier. If you're going to pay those, you have to find ways to get discounts around other positions. And you just didn't you didn't get a discount at wide receiver 2. You didn't get a discount at defensive tackle. You didn't at safety. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like going shopping to the grocery store. And if you have a budget, just being like, I'm just going to get the most expensive stuff, even though there's a million other things on sale in this grocery store, which by the way, I've been learning a lot about coupons and all these deals at the grocery store. You know, I used to just go there and just get whatever I wanted. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot. I went shopping today, Jeff, saved $30 off savings. And that's like, hey, Brad, you should do that in free agency. Like, instead of signing all these big deals, like, let's start getting some, like, look what you did with Roy Lopez. I'll give Brad like the most credit with Roy. Unbelievable. Like from Brad Holmes. One of the best signings that he's had in Detroit is Roy Lopez, man. Like, that was such a steal. Like, you need to go out and find more of those, and maybe a little higher level ones throughout, you know, a couple $10 million ones. But that's how I look at it.
Now, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about some free agents that could come to the Detroit Lions. Prior to Detroit came out with a list of guys that are cost effective and would be perfect.
I love this then.
Yeah, cost-effective and good fits for the Lions. We'll talk about that when we come back from break. We'll see you guys in a minute. I've interrupted the video to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper in the new promotion they have going on. A brand new promotion is now live on Sleeper that could be paired with the 100% deposit match promotion that's already been going on. It's a free $20, no deposit required, plus first-time users will also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Use the code CT Sports. You guys should already be using Sleeper. It's one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the entire world with millions and millions of active users. They are crushing it. And if your state allows it, you should be using Sleeper Picks. It's a real money product that connects friends over picks. You just choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can get up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends. Get rewarded together. Don't forget, code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit up to $100, and you got your free $20 entry. Sleeper is taking care of their customers. Always remember, gamble responsibly. Now let's get back to the video. Pride of Detroit came out with their cost-effective free agents. Number 1 on that list, by the way, Mr. Caden Mays. He is the center for the Panthers, which, by the way, I didn't know this, but when I was reading into the article a little bit, Caden Mays didn't even start at center at first. They had Austin Corbett, and Caden Mays came in there, started in replace of him, and then Austin Corbett came back, and he never got the job back. So Caden Mays actually turned out to be a pretty good starter for them, and he's a free agent. He's I looked up some of his PFF stats, and I know or PFF rankings.
How's he look?
I guess. Well, among centers, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he was 13th. He was the 24th overall center out of 40. So you see that, you're like, ugh. But pass blocking, he's 13th out of 40. So he's top 13th in pass blocking. Not as good of a run blocker, but all year, pass blocking, he allowed 0 sacks, 3 hits, 11 pressures, played over 700 snaps at center, and allowed no sacks. So Caden Mays, I talked about this morning. I want to know your thoughts on it because the article talks about how Tate Ratledge, the answer the Lions need is he playing center? That's what they got to figure out. And I don't like that we're still even debating this. Like, it should be a no question. Like, if you want to cross train him just in case, fine. But to me, Tate's a guard. Like, put Tate at guard. And if you want to sign Caden Mays and then draft a center to develop, cool, go ahead. But they should be bringing in a veteran center to run this offense with Drew Petzing and, who else. Maybe they get the Arizona center, but I think Tate should stay at guard. I don't think that should be a thing. He moves to center. I think
you're spot on. I think Tate has like a future. I know Pro Bowlers after today doesn't really mean much anymore. Well, it really hasn't for a while.
Well,
but
Shedeur,
I think Shedeur, yeah, unbelievable.
Over Trevor Lawrence?
And Aaron Rodgers, and we could just keep going down the list. Like, it's 45-year-old quarterback that threw 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Hey, it's my turn. He's a Pro Bowler.
Shedeur had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, it's insane.
Joke of a thing the Pro Bowler is, but in my opinion, though, like Tate Ratledge is going to be one of the best guards at some point here. I think he showed like he was a rookie this year, and you saw glimpses of how good he can be. Run game, pass game, like all of it. He could do it all, and I'm right there with you. I think you have to just, and I think too for him, I think you're right with like you can cross train him a little, but I think for him, when he had his locker room conversation with the media at the end of the year, like they asked him, are you going to do center next year? And he's like, I'm going to train both. And it just, for me, it's like, dude, if you have, you use the 2nd round pick on Tate Ratledge, who is your future right guard and could be a future Pro Bowl, maybe all pro right guard. Just let him train fully at where he's at. Like, let him go all in at it and let him perfect that craft and doing that. Like I said it a couple of weeks ago, Jeff, like you're taking away, if he's doing it 50-50 or even if he's doing it 60-40, there's 40% of the snaps where, in his work in the training in the offseason that he could be focusing on guard work instead of center. And maybe it's similar, but like, dude, you need to go out and get a center in free agency. If it's Caden Mays, whoever it is, you need to go out and get someone that's just an improvement from Graham Glasgow. And maybe you go out there, Jeff, and you get a guy who has shown potential like Caden Mays. How old is he, by the way? What year is he in?
He's 26. He's 26.
See, I like that. 26 is a good age because you look at who was the center for Miami this year. He's all pro center. He first time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. They brought him. Let me look. I'll tell you right now. He's
because they brought him in and Aaron Brewer.
Yeah.
Dude, Aaron Brewer, for people who don't know, like was it Aaron Brewer? I want to make sure.
No, yeah.
Was he all pro this year?
Yeah, no, it is Aaron Brewer.
Yes, Aaron Brewer. Yes.
He's an all-pro.
So like Aaron Brewer, like he's young. He's 28 years old, and he was in Tennessee for a little bit. And I don't think he played quite that much. And he was a guy that they just brought in. Yeah, his first year in Tennessee, 1 game started. Next year, 5 games started. And then Tennessee started a little bit more, and got better and better. Just a guy, I think, who was like 26, Caden Mays, who has the potential, who is on, you finally get put on a legit offense that gives you an opportunity to show what your ceiling is, and work with a guy like Hank Fraley and turn him into that. You know what I'm saying? Cool. You're probably not going to go get a Tyler Linderbaum who's worth $20 million and you got to pay out of your what to bring him in. Like with what you're paying other people, that's probably not a smart financial decision. But if you can go get a guy who has like a very high ceiling, who just has yet to get to that and has shown a lot, like Cade Mays, who was 20-something as a center, ranked in PFF, 13th in run blocking, like has legit shown like, hey, he is good. He has more to grow. I think that's the type of move you make. So I wouldn't hate it. I think that's your best opportunity this next year.
I was looking to see because he played at Georgia, but he only played there for 2 years, and then he transferred to Tennessee. And I was seeing if he played with Tate at all. But as soon as he transferred to Tennessee, Tate came into Georgia, so he didn't play with him.
Did you see the picture of Tate as a recruit?
Yeah, I did.
He looked like me, dude. He was like my size.
It's insane. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I like Cade Mays. I'm all for it because people are talking about Connor McGovern from the Bills. He's obviously you're paying for a better player. He's 28. He's a top 15 center according to PFF. So he's going to cost more money, and I'm sure they're going to try and re-sign him with the Bills.
Oh yeah, for 100%.
So that one probably, as much as I'm with you in the chat talking about Connor McGovern, I just don't think that's as realistic. But I'm with you. They put in the article here, Linderbaum, if they picked up his option, Linderbaum would have made $23 million, making him the highest paid center by like a lot. So they weren't going to pick up his. I know people saw the option and were like, "Oh, no!" They declined that to extend him. Like they're not gonna do that. They're gonna keep him. You don't think Jesse Minter, like their number one goal is keeping
100%. Yeah,
Tyler Linderbaum. They want to keep that guy in.
I like the idea of Cade Mays though. I mean, he started the thing like with Graham is Graham was never like a pure center. Like he was a guard, right? And he played center for you.
A little long in the tooth. He's a little old.
I mean, Cade Mays is going into his 5th season, and he's started 27 times at center.
That's a lot. And then you have Rayshawn. They have a safety out here, Rayshawn Jenkins, who played for the Browns, who is pretty solid. But they have the Lions bringing in another safety, which honestly I believe they will. I don't think this is a crazy. Yeah, because you got to think like, okay, Kirby Joseph ? We'll see. I don't think he's like his career's over. I'm not going to go that far, but I don't know, man. He's got some knee issues, and then Brian Branch is going to be out half the year. You probably got to think.
I think they draft the safety.
They could do that too. Yeah. Tight ends. They got tight end on the menu as well, I think, with Drew Petzing. But in Sam Laporta's future, I don't know.
I did see some people were like, oh, go get David Njoku with Sam Laporta. It's like I just don't think you can make that. You're paying 2 guys like an insane amount of money.
Yeah, I don't know about
that's Madden. You're playing Madden.
Yep, you're playing Madden. Rayshawn Jenkins, I don't really know much about him, but signing a safety, we're both on board with that. Dan Jackson, they mentioned in here. I'm not putting my faith into Dan Jackson. I'm just not. So I'm going to wait on that one. But it says Jenkins played all over the secondary, in the box, in the slot. You can defend the run. I like that. Next player they have is Jonah Williams, offensive tackle. Actually, I like this. And you know why I like this? He played right tackle with the Cardinals, was pretty solid there. And Drew Petzing, familiarity there. And if you want to move Panay to left, I know you want to draft a tackle, but just to bring in a guy who's played tackle and can be pretty good.
Compete.
Compete. Exactly. This could be an option that, I think that they mentioned the deal he signed with Arizona in here, which isn't, honestly, it isn't a crazy contract. Like, he signed a deal with, they mentioned some of his stats, but they signed a deal. What is it? A 2-year $30 million deal with the Cardinals. He's just been injured a lot, which is a big concern. So I think that's, unless Brad Holmes is in love with that, I don't know. But it says here,
he does love that.
But there's his stats though, right tackle versus left tackle. I mean, he got significantly better at right tackle. So if you want a right tackle, I know they want to draft a tackle, but
I have an issue with Jonah Williams.
What's your issue?
I can't see myself ever this doesn't even have anything to do with stats or his grades. I don't know if I could ever in the last 3 or 4 years find myself being like, I would love for the Lions. Like, if I see an offensive lineman wearing the Cincinnati Bengals gear, I right away get the heebie-jeebies. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I can do it just based off of he was a part of any sort of Bengals offensive line.
Well, yeah, he was a part of that Cardinals offensive line too, which wasn't that good. So I can see why you
scares me. You can give me any stat you want. I'm just I see the Bengal helmet and I go all O-line. I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm not
greatest in the world.
In love with, but if you want to bring in depth, I'm probably cool with this. But other than that, no, I'm not signing. I'm not putting my faith in Jonah Williams to protect Jared Goff. I don't think so. I did mention in here Clayton Adams when he was coaching him he was really good, and then he just fell off a cliff. So I'm good on that. They mentioned a defensive lineman, David Onyemata, who is pretty good this year. I think, honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with Roy Lopez, but DJ Reader, I saw we tweeted out re-signing DJ Reader potentially. Like, what do you guys think, like, fans? What would our fans, are they collectively on board with that, or are people more so like, nah, get him out of here?
Actually, hand up on me. I'll just be honest. I tweeted that. I didn't go look at it. Usually I'll go look at replies.
Actually, I'm curious because we put that out.
I can go check real quick.
Because that's actually interesting.
100 replies. Someone first reply, if he agrees to sign for free, sure. That was the first reply. Next one, no offense to him, but it would have to be a team friendly deal, like $3 million with some incentives. Shout out Clarence, he said that. Butch Cons said no. Evil John Martin said send him back to Cincy. Sports with a Z said F yes.
Yeah, I'm curious what they do. Honestly,
someone else said no matter who you put next to Reader, Lopez, Williams, McNeil, or draft pick, they're going to shine. Notorious Detroit said no. Yeah, Karos ended up saying yes. Kevin said yes. Mark said only if he takes a cheaper deal. Yeah, it's kind of like a half and half thing.
I'm curious because David Onyemata has been actually like he's been a guy who's gotten 5. He's actually gotten kind of a lean stats in the NFL. He's a little older, but he had a sack last year for the Falcons, but the last 3 seasons prior, 3 sacks, 4 sacks, 5 sacks.
He gets like 3 to 5 a year.
Yeah, and he had 6.5 in with the New Orleans Saints. He was with Dan Campbell with the Saints. 4.5 sacks 1 year with the Saints. Like, he's had some pretty good years.
Hey Jeff, I love production, right? I know you guys hate that I all Booner. You look at I love the man had 60 total tackles, 64 total tackles as a defensive tackle, or 62. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I don't know, but it looks like here, defensive lineman, 62 tackles. Year before, 45, 50.
It's a lot.
Is he's essentially like Aleem McNeil, no?
Yeah.
And has Aleem McNeil ever even got 50 tackles in a year?
62 tackles is crazy.
Lee McNeil's career high is 41 in 2022. Lee McNeil had 14 total tackles last year.
Yeah, he was the eighth greatest. He was the eighth highest graded defensive lineman according to PFF. David Onyemata.
How is this defense? I'm confused. This is a defense. I'm not familiar with this guy as much as I should be. He has 60 tackles as a defensive tackle, and Lee McNeil had 14.
Yeah.
What am I missing? Can someone help me?
Yeah, he's 33. But yeah. Yes.
We paid a guy at the third most at his position, and there's a guy out. The lowest that David had in his career was his rookie year. He had 18. The next lowest is 32. And he's had 44, 34, 43, 50, 40. It's unbelievable. He had 29 solo tackles this year, Jeff. Aleem had 14 total tackles.
Yes. Yeah,
this kind of double the amount of solo tackles than Aleem had combined tackles.
Well, people would say, well, Boone, Jack Campbell takes out the tackles.
Well, maybe Jack doesn't have to if the up front is getting to
the
job.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the running back gets to the second level, and then Jack has to tackle him. Probably that's a couple of those tackles definitely come.
I'm shocked. Who is this guy? I want this guy.
Yeah, David Onyemata. I like him. Watch Klotz will probably be all over this guy. Probably. I think he probably would be like, oh yeah.
I'm claiming him now. This is Klotz claims Klotz guy. I want him. Boone guy.
He takes.
Can we play that?
Yeah.
Where's Which one is he?
Oh, let me see this here. I'll full screen this.
Which one is he? What number is he?
He's in the middle, double teamed, and he still gets it.
Oh my gosh! I want him on my squad.
Yeah, that's a vet right there.
Who wrote this article?
This was shout out to. Let me see. I get this. Ryan Matthews from.
All right, I'm gonna tweet this out. I'm gonna give some credit to Ryan.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good article. Shout out to Ryan. Yeah, he goes, who is this guy? He takes on double teams. I'm just saying.
I'm all in on him.
He just beat a double team to get a run stop. Yeah, that's in what world does that happen?
That's unbelievable. That was
Ages versus if you're gonna draft a D tackle, you want a dude who runs a 4.9, has burst and can generate push, help take away doubles from a Jason Diaz. Well, Liam technically is supposed to be the double team guy. And also DJ Reader. That's kind of the point of those two. So when you have Aiden who gets all the double teams, it's actually supposed to help those guys get to the quarterback a little bit. That's why when people bring up the Aleem stat thing, it's he doesn't get all the stats in the world. That's not his position. I think that's a lie, number one. And number two, the other argument is, well, he has Aiden Hutchinson. You know how many one-on-ones Lee McNeil gets?
With that, dude, because everyone on that defensive line talks about how they get double teamed. You all can't get double teamed. They all do. DJ, and you know what? I think the one that has the most Hutch, and I think DJ Reader, because I've seen DJ Reader get double teamed a lot. Aleem, I don't know how much is Aleem getting double teamed, really.
You can't all get double teamed.
I mean, seriously though, what they're double teaming all three of you?
How
That's 6 offensive linemen. There's only 5.
Yeah, how many offensive linemen do they have on the field? This is. And then
there's always an excuse. Hutch is I'm getting double teamed.
Like a back 7, AQM gets double teamed more than how many guys are getting double teamed on the D line, man?
It's every time the Lions play a team, they're like, we need 9 offensive linemen, boys. We can't. It's insane. Every time you one of these defensive linemen talk to the media, they're like, man, just taking on these double teams, it's really it opens up so much for Anzo and for Jack. It's like, dude, I just talked to Lee McNeil over there. He said he gets double teamed all game. Hutch said the same. Wait, DJ said that.
Yeah, how many guys how many offensive linemen do they have on the field? This is, you got to win one-on-ones here. You just have to.
So what is Tyleek doing? I know he's not getting double teamed.
He might be getting. Hey, Roy Lopez. He might be getting double teamed too.
No wonder Roy Lopez had such a big year. They're double teaming everyone else.
Yeah, no, and he's actually winning one-on-ones. More than he should.
Well, respect to him.
Yeah, Roy Lopez. So yeah, I mean, those are cost-effective guys. This free agency period, man. I know what I want, and I'm scared of what I'm going to get.
So can I ask with that? Because I thought of this question today, and and for the people, I just want to ask you, like, how are you going to be disappointed if Brad doesn't have any splash free agency hires, free agency signings, and he ends up just signing like very, very mid and low level guys, and it's just like, well, he really didn't change the roster.
It depends what that is. Like for me, I'm not expecting a splash, so I'm not going to be disappointed, but it depends on what that is. Like, are we talking re-signing Dev, re-signing Josh, and maybe throwing a deal out at like some bum center? Then yeah, I would be like, this sucks. Because I don't expect he can't spend a lot of money. They don't have no money, and they're going to free up money, but they're not going to go out and sign like Tyler Linderbaum. I'm not going to,
No, I'm obviously not. You're going to sign like the top market guys, but I'm saying like some like I'm even you look at someone like the edges last year. You saw like some edges go for $5 or $6 million that make impacts. Like, do you expect him to go out? Like you even saw a couple years ago. I think the David Montgomery one wasn't like a high level where it was like, hey, this is one of the top in the market, but it was like a mid-level running back that ended up working out really well, and everyone loved it. Like, I feel like, did we get any of those signings last year? Because I felt like last year was disappointing because we got like, oh, well, I guess DJ Reed, but like even DJ Reed has been kind of disappointing for the price, but more so like last year was like, oh, Levi not Josh Pascal, but Marcus Davenport, Roy Lopez. Hindsight, good one, but it was like at the moment, it was like a low level. Oh, Grant Stewart. You're like,
well, I'll give him
like,
I'll give him depth. I'll give him Avante Maddox and Rocky Sin. I'll give him those because those.
Yeah, but at the moment, like no one, like Avante, yes, but in the moment, like Rocky Sin, like no one was like, oh, Rocky Sin, like it worked out. But what I'm saying more so is like, are we going to see a little bit higher level? Because I think that's like my opinion. Like that's why you see like the Patriots. I know they had a lot of money. They made splash ones. I'm not saying you need to make those splash ones, but you need to get like a little bit higher than you did last year.
They got to get good complementary piece, like players. Like
I think you got to go higher than you did last year, and you have to find a way. Like you have to change up some contracts, maybe cut some players, trade some players. But I think you have to make a couple changes when it comes to that. And I'm not saying $20 million players, but I'm saying those mid-level players, like the $7 to $12 million players that are going to make impacts. Because obviously, what you have now isn't going to win. Like Avante was good, but like, is Avante going to be
he's not like a
starter on a Super Bowl team? Probably not.
No, I get what you're saying.
That's my point.
If you bring me, how about this? How about I look at it like if you bring me 1 to 2 starters, I'd be happy.
I'll say 2 to 3. I want 2 to 3.
Like if you brought in like Cade Mays, a safety, and like an extra tight end, or I don't know, whatever. But like 3 guys that can come and start.
See, an extra tight end, no, like that's not.
Or
a starter.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know whatever position you want. Linebacker.
I think you have to get a couple like mid-level players, and then maybe a starter or 2, or maybe 3 starters.
That's a better way to say it because I don't really know. I don't want Brad. My biggest thing is I don't want him to fall in love with his own guys again and re-sign guys. I think you got.
I think you're at a point where you have to unfall in love with these guys, and you have to get new guys. And I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying there's just like 2 or 3 spots where you have like what you have obviously at some spots aren't working. You need to replace and get something maybe better.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And then the draft comes around, and Daniel Jeremiah had his draft. How would you feel? Daniel Jeremiah put out again. Here we go. Akeem Mesidor in his mock draft 1.0 at 17 had 12.5 sacks this season with the Canes on a really good defense. I said this. This is where I'm at with like getting an edge in the draft. I'm actually not as opposed to it. I think tackle's still my number 1 priority because of how important it is. But I actually don't mind edge. I don't think I'd be upset. Like if they drafted an edge, I mean, we can't be upset. We've been clamoring for it for 4 years, 5 years. I mean,
yeah.
So 4 years, I guess, 3 years to pair with Hutch. So I wouldn't be as upset. The only thing with Mesidor I'm intrigued about, and this could be interpreted as a positive or a negative, is he's going to be 25 years old when he plays his first NFL game.
I really don't care. If you're a contender, I think that's actually a good thing for a team like the Lions. Because that means you're a little bit more mature and he's kind of ready to go more than having to.
True. I just don't like the fact that he'll be 30 when you have to give him if you were to extend him. That's the only thing but it is what it is. That's my only like critique.
Yeah. I think it's just more so. I think it's actually, again, you're looking to win a Super Bowl in the next few years. I think it's getting someone who is already like, he can come in and impact right away. You're not getting a guy that's like you saw some of those edge rushers last year who there were some that were good. James Pierce, look, there was a few, but then there was a couple that got drafted really high, and they didn't have the best year, but they're still learning, and you're like, oh, well, they still have a lot of room to grow. You just have to wait. I think this is a guy who could play right away and come in and make an impact. Now, the one thing with me with this is, again, I'm big on a tackle in the first this year. Like, I think an offensive tackle would be big in the first round. I think it just depends on, and this is, I guess, we're going to find out over the next few weeks. We're going to be at the combine in about a month, where you're going to see what position groups deeper. Can you get a guy like Mesidor second round?
I think his age
get a better tackle.
He's going to fall a little bit, I think, because of his age. Because it's not just the contract stuff. I think people look at age as like, are these players, how much, and honestly, I'm just saying this is what GMs are going to look at with age. How much better are they going to get? Like, if you're 25, usually, you know what I'm saying? You're like, they'll get better, obviously, but you look at, if you're like 23, 22, you're like, this guy's obviously going to get much better. He's only 22 years old. So he'll probably be there in the second, I would assume. Like,
so that's my thing, because like when I did a mock draft, I did one again quietly. I know we have mock draft Monday coming up. Don't want to release who I did take Mesidor, but he was available in the second round, and you just don't know. And last year, remember, there was a lot of guys like a Mesidor. Mike Green, who everyone had, literally, like even Daniel Jeremiah, like everyone had him drafted or projected to go in the top 15 of the draft. He falls to like the second, third round. So there are going to be guys like that you can get a steal on. If Mesidor is a guy that goes second, if you think he's not and you love him, Jeff, and again, this is where it comes into kind of strategy. And again, over the next month and a half or so, you're going to find a lot out about, some of these measurements and testing and some of these, a lot of different things about these players. You're going to see, like, is this tackle class? Like, is there going to be a really good tackle that's going to be available maybe in the late first? You could trade back, get him, get a tackle. Maybe get another second this year where you can get Mesidor and another player. Like, I think there's that. So I don't know. Like, in the comments when we posted this too, a lot of people were half and half on like, hey, Mesidor is going to be available in the second. And then there were actually some people who were like, oh, he's not going to be available at 17. So if I learned anything, I mean, we've covered the draft for 4 or 5 years now, but like last year was one of the biggest years, I think, if you really want to see an example, is you just do not know with some guys, because there were guys that we had in our first round mocks every single week from week one that we started covering the draft, and they fell to the third round. Will Johnson, prime example. Like, there was a lot. So you just never know.
Yeah, like I traded up to 13, 14 for James Pierce Jr., and he was there at 25, 26. Like, guys, you never really know. I have Daniel Jeremiah's full first round.
Or Mike Green,
actually,
sorry.
I was looking at it. We can kind of go through it, because you texted me today and said that he had some tackles going really high. Like
Spencer Fanu going third overall.
Third overall. Fourth to Titans, Francis Mauigoa. I mean, the guy.
Is that how you say his last name?
Maui. Yeah, just Scott. I had Scott on. He said it. Mauigoa.
Loved that. Love Mauigoa. I love that.
That dude is a freak.
He is. Dude, I saw a mock draft that had the Lions taking him at 17, and it was like, there's no way he's available at 17.
He's a freak, that guy, dude. He's a right tackle, I think. I think he is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's a right tackle. I would cry if you had these two, if you had Panay and Francis Mauigoa for the future, bro.
Oh, we would be back, and then you sign just a center.
Dude, we'd be so back. I mean, it's insane. And
That'd be
I don't know
incredible.
Either. You have David Bailey. Like, I've seen him to the Lions. Like, he goes 6 to the Browns. Sonny Styles, that's Klotz's guy, going to the Commanders.
A lot of Ohio State guys this year.
Yep. Daniel Jeremiah says it reminds him of Fred Warner. Wow. That's insane. New Orleans Saints, Jeremiah Love, they get a running back at 8. Chiefs, Ruben Bain. That's actually the Miami Edge, who's like, he's a stud.
Probably the better one.
Yeah, he's going top 10. He goes to the Chiefs. Bengals.
Imagine Chris Jones and Ruben Bain. Oh my goodness. My God. Yeah, and what's his name?
Karl
Aftis. That's a D line that you might win they're going to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's a nasty D line, dude. Jermod McCoy, Caleb Downs goes to the Dolphins.
Tough for him, man.
Yeah, yeah, tough for him, bro.
There's some spots I don't want to get drafted to. That's one. I love Miami too. The city, great city.
Yeah, there's you got Colton Hood, cornerback, Mekhi Lemon. I've heard a lot about. He goes to the Rams.
Very good.
I don't know how to say his name. Olai Vavega?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this name.
Loane? Holy shit. The Ravens drafted. Wow. Buccaneers.
By the way, this is one of the first moments in my life that I'm getting older that I'm starting to realize there's a chance I might need glasses because these words on my screen are small.
What about that?
Yeah, that's better. But that was scary because I've never had a moment where I'm like, what does that say? That was the first time in my life I was ever like, wow.
Carnell Tate, another Ohio wide receiver with the Jets.
He's going to be, by the way, Carnell Tate last year, like everyone's talking about all these different Ohio State receivers. And last year, people remember had Emeka Egbuka as like the 5th wide receiver in the class. And what did I say last year? I said Emeka Egbuka is going to end up being the best wide receiver in this class. And I stood on that last year. And he ended up being, you could say, I think Emeka is. I think Carnell Tate's going to be the best in this class. Carnell Tate's going to be very good.
I think he's wide receiver 1. I think he is. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else.
Well, they had the USC wide receiver.
Oh, Mekhi Lemon. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but I think Carnell Tate, though. I think Carnell is going to be. You're going to look back and be like, oh, this guy is like a Pro Bowl or All Pro wide receiver at some point. He's going to be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, and no one talked about it because
Ravens don't take a guy like that. Like the Ravens taking
100%. I'm with you, but I think a lot of people don't talk about him because of who they have right now at Ohio State. He was kind of their wide receiver too. Carnell, like we saw him in person at Michigan, like, and he stands out, dude. Like he's very good.
He is good. He's really good, actually. You see here the Lions take Akeem Mesidor, and right after the Vikings take a safety. Panthers
out of Toledo.
That's actually another one. Jordan Tyson.
Hold on, who's a Toledo safety? I need to watch this kid.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Actually, Scott mentioned him as well.
I need to go on. I need to.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Yeah, he's he's pretty good. Actually, I know Scott mentioned him because we were talking safeties in the draft. I think he's pretty productive. Actually, he had let me see his last couple of years at Toledo. Yeah, he's had a couple picks a year, a couple forced fumbles. He's pretty good.
Wow.
See the Panthers, they take a wide receiver. Cowboys go edge. Let me see if there's any other shock picks in here. Oh, Caden Proctor falls to 24. Actually, you know what I saw? I saw a tweet that the Lions spoke to Caden Proctor, like a scout was speaking to him at the sideline. Is that true? I don't know if that was true.
Probably. There's been a lot because of obviously the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl. There's been a lot of bowls going on. Mike Payton put out there that they spoke with Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech. So you're going to start seeing a lot of that. Obviously, take all of it, with a grain of salt but they are going to speak with a lot of players where you can start kind of marking down who they've spoke with, and you start forming that list there. A lot of people don't like Caden Proctor, man. He keeps falling, and I don't know. Maybe he might be. Is there a chance, like you say, he's too big? I don't know. People are saying
that's the knock.
Someone came up to me.
Big. He's big.
Yeah, someone came up to me actually in person and talked about Caden Proctor and said that man's massive and he might be too big. And I was like, what?
He gets beat by like speed. You know what I'm saying? He just can't move like as quick as like other guys. He's just physical and athletic, but he can't move. It's weird. He's just so big. I don't know. That'd be like a Browns pick, I guess. But I like Caden Proctor. I just don't know. I don't know. There's probably better all around tackles.
Yeah. We got a tight end in the first round.
Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. He's a good player. But they have another tackle. They have a bunch of tackles. Rams take Blake Miller. You have Monroe Freeling Peter Woods goes. Caleb Lomu, another tackle. There's like 4
he falls all the way to 31, which is crazy. I like both of these Utah tackles, dude. Mm-hmm. I think they're both good. And there was like 6 tackles that went before him, 7 tackles.
Yeah, honestly, like there's this. That's why I'm saying like this tackle. If you want to trade back, you probably can still get a pretty good tackle.
Tackle
because there's probably going to be 4 or 5 tackles in the first round.
You can add a great pick too. If you trade all the way back from if someone trades to 17, Jeff, that's such a big You can get so much for that if someone bites on that.
You know what I wonder? Like you mentioning the Haynes King thing. Not that Haynes King is the answer, but I wonder if they do draft a quarterback again.
I think there's a really good chance they do.
I'm starting to get the feeling they take a guy, like just to take a swing, like a 4th round guy or something.
I think there's a chance maybe Brad listens to the show and he's heard my theory for the last 4 years that said I would always take a quarterback at some point in the draft.
Well, the Seahawks just did it. They took Jalen Milroe. He's not even.
Yeah,
they don't even know
I would
if he's good.
always do it, dude. Always. You could
That's
hit
why
on someone.
I'll never get mad at Brad for taking Hendon Hooker. You know, I don't think that he took a swing. It didn't work out. You know,
if he takes a quarterback this year, as long as, in my opinion, as long as it's not in the first 4 rounds, like or maybe like the first 100 picks, I think I'd be fine with it. Like I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I wouldn't be mad at it. You take a swing at a quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and be mad about it because you never know. I mean, you just never know. You take a swing; those guys can change your franchise. Not that Goff's not good. He's a good quarterback.
You could just find a guy though. Haynes King's very mobile. I think he's had a bunch of touchdowns. I used to bet on him this year to score touchdowns. I think he had I could be wrong. I could double check this. Haynes King.
You know who was that? You know who was at Georgia Tech?
I think he had double-digit touchdown runs. I think he had 15 this year.
You know who was at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, 15.
Tashard Choice, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. No, he was at Texas.
Jameer?
Yeah, but that was a couple years ago. I don't know if Haynes was there then.
Because Haynes, how many years has he been in college?
6, but he played at Texas A&M for a handful.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, dude, he had, if you look at his stats, he had 15 rushing touchdowns this year. I bet on him almost every single weekend. He had 15 this year, 11 the year before, and 10 the year before. So he's very mobile, and he could throw the rock too, man.
Oh,
he had a year where he threw 27 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. So he slings it.
Yeah, he's not afraid.
No.
He's not afraid of it. Yeah, that's
But there's a handful of just mid-level quarterbacks, like even Carson Beck, dude. He was a guy that would have been a first-round pick that might fall to the 4th, 5th round this year.
Oh, I hate Carson Beck.
He's a good quarterback, though, whether you hate him or like him.
He's such a douchebag, dude. I know he is. He did have a good year with the.
I saw a stat for Carson Beck. I think he's lost 6 total games in his career at Georgia and Miami, or maybe it was 5 or 6 total games, and every single, or it was 5. It was every loss but one. He threw an interception on the last possession to lose. He had a chance at a game-winning drive on like 4 or 5 of his 6 losses, and he threw an interception on 4 or 5 of them. But he's won so much, so it's you can't really,
I want to talk, dude. Yeah, we'll see with that. They probably, I don't know. I'm looking at the quarterback class in general. There might be guys that end up falling in this draft class that you probably like. You can like a lot. Because I was looking the other day at some of the guys that are going to be in this draft class, quarterback wise, because you only know really the top guys. But if you look at quarterbacks like Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, Carson Beck, you mentioned Trinidad Chambliss. I wonder where these guys kind of fall. I
think late, but I think if you like one, I think you need to do your due diligence in a class like this, because a lot of them
who the hell Baylor? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, well, so this is my thought with the class like this, where it's not hey, it's not a great quarterback class, but you have a lot of guys on here who have names, right, and who were projected first round picks for years, and they just had a bad year or two and they fell off. I think a lot of these guys some of these guys do have first round talent that didn't perform well, where if you can get a guy, if you do your due diligence this year in the quarterback class in the 4th, 5th round that has had that talent, has that ceiling, and maybe you can find that Brock Purdy type steal.
Yeah, and usually they go to those schools no one's really Brock Purdy was Iowa State. Maybe you can find a guy that's like the Sawyer Robinson guy out of Baylor. Maybe there's someone where you're just not really, the guy just falls to the 4th round. You're all right, we'll take him. Why not?
Chances are it doesn't work out, but man, what if he does?
I saw Dom just put in there a question, and I've seen this before, but the comments about the mobile quarterback thing, Sam Darnold and Drake May running around making plays. How do you feel about that mobile quarterback stuff? I know it's becoming more and more every week we see more guys running around, and people want to bring it up, which I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad thing. I mean, to see
Yeah,
quarterback.
it's obvious. I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah,
We
like
know.
obviously you would love your quarterback to make plays. Like seeing Jared Goff's highlights at Cal running around, juking dudes out, throwing dots. I mean, like what happened? I mean, is he just refused to run, or maybe he does have that ability a little bit? I don't know. He just doesn't. He doesn't want.
We saw this year, dude. I posted a video of Jared Goff today on our Instagram, and he got out of the pocket this year, stepped up, ran about 5 yards, and tossed it on the throw. And Amon-Ra almost ran it in for like a 50-yard touchdown. He's got it in him. I think he's just more comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I would love nothing more to see a quarterback run around. I mean,
What if Jared Goff one year just comes out like Josh Allen? Everyone's like, what? He runs for like 800 yards.
Straight treadmill. Just sprints.
Oh, that's funny.
Full says mailbag. Well, Booner admit Brad Holmes is not a top 8 GM anymore.
No, he's top 8.
Yeah, that's like, who had John Schneider in that top 5 though?
Yeah, kudos.
At the time with you and Klotz, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, kudos, man.
No, he's top 8. Brad Holmes.
He's top 8. This is where I think people like, and this is where I hate getting into these arguments on Twitter. And this is where people take it over the top to a sense of like, hey, yeah, we compare to the Seahawks because we want Brad to make some of these moves. And like, just because we're saying we want Brad to do some of these things and he should, or he messed up on this, doesn't mean we don't think he's a good GM. Like, I hate the fact that I have to keep prefacing in these tweets that, hey, Brad's still really good. Brad still built you what you are, and he's built an insane roster. He just hasn't gotten over that hump yet. So it's like, yeah, I think he's still top 8. Whether you could think so or not, I would have him in my top 8.
I mean, you go, okay, let's go. Like, you go Les Snead, Les, John Schneider, Howie, Jason Light. That's already 4.
I've always had Jason Light out or Brad above Jason Light, but that's me.
Okay, well, okay, that's fine. And then who else? John Lynch. John Lynch. I mean, we're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did you say Howie?
Yeah. We're already at 5 GMs.
5
I mean,
right there.
you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you say, okay, Jason Light, but there's still like, you know what I'm saying? We still have 4 guys that you can argue.
Yeah.
Like, Eric Costa with the Ravens, like, okay, that's 1. Okay, you still have top 8. I think he's not top 5, but he's top 8. Yeah. I think that's where I would go with it.
Did you say John Schneider?
Yeah. Ryan Poles, like, no, I don't. He's not better than
Ryan Poles.
No, we're not going Ryan Poles. I won't do it.
That's just recency bias. That's just.
Yeah. No, I don't. No.
And see, like Mag for like Mag 7 Life 269. Brad got the Lions farther than anyone else ever did. Like, but see, that's also like too much of an extreme the other way, because the Lions never been anywhere. So it's like you can't use that as an argument.
Yeah, I don't like that argument, because that's why people stay in bad relationships. Well, it's the best partner I've ever had. Doesn't mean they're a great partner. That's
one of the comments I was arguing on Twitter here just like an hour ago. It was like someone's like, we've never been in this position. This is the best we've ever been. Like, I'm going to enjoy it. Like, if we're 9-8, miss the playoffs, me 10 years ago would have loved that. It's like, so you just don't have like your, what is it called? Like, your standards should change for your team.
Yeah, that's at some point we got to stop thinking like that. We can't just be like, well, they're the best I've seen. Well, dude, you've seen trash. So like, and Brad doesn't mean Brad's trash. Listen, I think he's top 8. But like, when you say it like that, like, oh, you guys should shut up because Brad's the best. He's taken as far as we've ever been. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But at some point, we got to start thinking a little bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it is. MC3 Hoodat says, mailbag, is it bad for thinking things could be so much worse? We could be the Bucs who have age issues, the Bills who have leadership issues, or the Eagles who have a very toxic and hostile place. I'll tell you this. Eagles, I would take those Super Bowls. I'm not going to lie. Of course, I would take the Super Bowls. I will take that. I'll take the drama if I get Super Bowls. But it is funny to see the Eagles struggle to get a guy who could take their job, though. That's kind of funny. I think it's hilarious. No one will take that job.
No one wants it. People keep backing out of it. That's
not even college OCs.
No, dude, that was such a wanted job too. Like, so many people wanted that job. I almost feel bad for Nick Sirianni, but it's also his fault that he let it get to that point. And same with Howie Roseman.
Dude, no one wants that. It's because you know why? It's Jalen Hurts, bro. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. It's that culture. And that's on Nick Sirianni. That's drama in that locker room. If I'm an OC, dude, and it's the fan base. Like, I'm not going to have people show up in my house, dude. Like, I don't want that. Fuck that, dude. And it's like, oh, well, don't do a bad job. That's the risk. If I struggle, you
that's
guys will
actually
be at my house.
insane that was going on.
I'm not doing that shit. Like, dude, like John Morton was never, you know what I'm saying? He was bad, but no,
no one was showing up to his
showing up
house.
to the guy's house. Like, dude, you guys are crazy. So yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to work. Like, it's a risk reward. I mean, dude, the Bears OC, by the way, Doyle, I think his name is. That guy's a bright guy. Ben brought him in from Sean Payton. He's a bright dude. He doesn't even call plays with the Bears. He crushed the interview with the Eagles, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good." Like,
dude, well, he just today. By the way, he also did today. I think he got requested to interview for the Ravens job.
Yeah, see, he might think about.
Yeah.
You know, like, but yeah, I'm good, bro. It's like
there was someone else. There was another. By the way, there's another offensive.
The Cowboys also their OC. He said no.
I know.
Said no.
Yeah, I know. There's another offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays. Who's looking. Who is it?
Grant Udinski, stud. That guy with the Jags.
I think he's also. Well, he turned down the Browns job.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm good."
And I think
that guy's a stud too.
He might have turned down.
He was like
Eagles. I don't know.
A lot of people turn down the Eagles, dude. It's bad. Hey, they could be. But that's why the Lions, like, you give them credit, right? Like, people want to come work for Dan and work with this offense. Like, I'll take that. That's good. It's welcoming culture for sure.
I mean, dude, they got two guys who interviewed for who again OCs that weren't fired.
And Mike Kafka interviewed for the Eagles job.
Probably turned it down and then decided instead of the OC job, I'll take the Lions job.
I'm pretty sure he did. Man, they're probably going to settle for Matt Nagy over there.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Well, rewind. I'm glad you said Matt Nagy before we get off. That was the other coach that doesn't call plays that was looking to go somewhere. I saw a report. Remember how we were talking about how how the Chiefs offense like struggled and we were like they moved on from Matt Nagy because of that? Wrong. We were dead wrong on that. It wasn't that. Matt Nagy told Andy Reid going into the season, no matter what, I want to go get either a play calling OC job or a head coaching job. And Andy Reid was like, dude, like, you deserve it. Like, you for sure deserve it. So that was why they ended up going to get Bieniemy instead of sticking with Matt Nagy. And that was why Matt Nagy didn't re-sign a contract in Kansas City. And then the report came out today. Andy Reid made a statement and was like, I don't understand how Matt Nagy isn't a head coach. Like he like put something out. But then he also reported and said that they told it, like, Matt Nagy told him before the season that he wanted either a play calling job or a head coaching job. So that makes sense. It all makes. I know we were talking about that last week. We were like, they wanted to move on from Matt. We were wrong. Hand up.
Yeah,
Matt wanted to move on from them.
Yeah, well, he'll be calling plays for the Eagles, which, if it works out, man, it's great. It's a great payoff. But
unreal.
I just don't know if it will. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, Corey Woods joining us tomorrow.
Let's go, Corey.
And then Wednesday, Doc. Thursday, Sam Flannel. So it'll be a good week. We got more guests piling in. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Until then, hit the like button on the stream. Get your merchandise, FisherCitySports.com. And we will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Love you guys. Mike Kafka.